Hello and welcome to my channel. Tonight I just want to get into a little bit of the tea that is brewing through these streets of the YouTube. I want to talk about Phaedra, Phaedra Parks, and why she skipped out on the Married to Medicine reunion. I also want to touch base on Apollo and his estranged wife, Shireen, and her filing for divorce. Also going to talk about Porsha and Simon. Yeah, there's some news about Mr. Guabadia. Okay. And then I want to talk a little bit about Towanda Braxton. I don't have a lot on her, but I just wanted to shout out to her and her family, her sisters, as well as I wanted to talk about Lexi McCollum. Now, you all may not be familiar with Lexi McCollum because she is the daughter of Chris Fletcher, who is a reality personality on the Love and Marriage Huntsville series. And if you're not a avid Love and Marriage Huntsville watcher, you're not going to know who Chris is. However, Lexi has an interesting story and she shares it on her new YouTube page. And I'm just going to give you my 2 cents about that. Okay. So, with that being said, let's get into it. Hello, hello, hello. I just want to talk about Phaedra and how she skipped out on the season 11 Married to Medicine reunion. Now, we understand that there's some things that went on the cash trip, but that would happen a long time ago. And I think she made a point to go to New York. I think she went to New York, I think. Now, unless she got wind of Apollo and his wife being a part of the taping, I don't know. I can't remember if she filed for divorce before the reunion or after the reunion. She filed February the 7th, so that would have been before they taped. They taped February the 13th. So maybe Apollo said, "You ain't coming with me." She's like, "Yeah, okay. I'm out of here." You're right. I'm not. So Phaedra, I want to say, decided that she wasn't going to be a part of the reunion show because Heavenly was going off on her. And I don't know if Heavenly thought that she was lying on her or something, but she made it seem like she was going to get in that, digging that behind on the reunion show. And I guess I want to say that Phaedra got wind of it, and her thing was, I'm not going. I am not going. Y'all will not make me work for my paycheck. I don't work for my paychecks. You know, all I do is make faces. That's what I do. What you're not going to get me to do is engage in a conversation with you going back and forth. I'm not going to do it. You know, that's not even her steez. Anywho, so I can't say it's because of the cash trip, because like I said, the cash trip happened a while back. But she skipped out on them. Now she's a part of the Real Housewives of Atlanta. She really doesn't need to be on that show. And evidently, Bravo was okay with it because I'm sure she had to clear it before they said, okay, you don't have to come. Right. So she didn't. So she's getting ready for her premiere back on to her old show. She's one of the OGs from Real Housewives of Atlanta. I want to say that's why I kind of tuned in to Married to Medicine, because I had never watched Married to Medicine before, up until season 10, when Phaedra was coming to the show. And I only wanted to see what she was going to bring to it. She didn't bring anything, really. The girls clearly can carry it on their own, but it looks like yeah, Phaedra didn't do what they thought she was going to do on that particular show. I don't know what, I guess they were trying to bring the housewife fan base over there, whatever. But it would only been Porsha's fan base. It wouldn't, I mean, not Porsha. It would only been Phaedra's fan base. It wouldn't have been like everybody that watches the show, because she was no longer on that show anymore, right? It wasn't about the cash trip, clearly. It was about those comments that Dr. Heavenly made, and she was going in. And I don't know if that was just to drudge up people, the viewers, for the reunion, so that they'd have the ratings. I don't know. Because, Heavenly does things, and she puts on her, when she gets into her producer bag, she thinks like ahead, which is not a bad thing. But sometimes you need to just sit back in your role and let things play out. So what do y'all think? Why did Phaedra not want to come? Well, Bravo sent out a seating chart, which did not include Phaedra. So I don't know what's going on between her and the castmates of Married to Medicine, but for whatever reason, her thing was, I'm not coming. And well, they said in People, it says, as for where Park stands with her Married to Medicine co-stars, Parks has remained mum, but Webb recently told Parade the two have a little to no relationship. She says she's still the same old girl, like nothing's really has changed. Webb told Parade, I thought that she would have been more of a true friend, and it's just not in her. She's just true to herself. That's it. So I don't know what happened between Phaedra and the girls. It was some type of breakdown, because like last season, they were doing Instagram lives, right? Remember? And Phaedra would be on there. I think she would start them, because I think they were on her page. And then all the girls would be on there communicating, talking. Now, a couple of things did pop off on those Instagram lives, but nothing that, affected Phaedra and their relationships. So it doesn't make sense why she didn't come, unless she just wasn't for Heavenly's shenanigans, because Heavenly can be dirty. She can. I ain't lying. She can. And she puts on that producer hat, and it's like, girl, please. So do y'all think that Apollo will be on there? I mean, if Phaedra didn't show, is there a reason for Apollo to still show? Is she blocking his bag? I mean, what do you think? Is something behind her not showing? Because if she doesn't show, then Apollo doesn't have a reason to come on there, and his bag can get blocked. Now, he can come on there and talk about him going back and forth with Chet, because that was his friend, but I don't know if they would even waste their time with that package. We'll see. But I was also reading about, I know that Shireen had filed for divorce, and it says Apollo Nida accused of cheating and abuse as wife files for divorce. It says Apollo's wife Shireen Copes has officially filed for divorce, citing serious allegations that paint a rocky picture. The split comes after less than 3 years of marriage, with claims of infidelity and mistreating surfacing in court documents. The couple married in October 2022, but separated in November 2023. Shireen filed for divorce on February the 7th, describing their marriage as irretrievably broken and citing abuse and infidelity. Shireen's filing, obtained by People, stated that the respondent and I can no longer live together and there is no hope that we will get back together. She alleged cruel treatment, adultery, and desertion by Apollo. Unshockingly, Shireen says Apollo cheated on her regularly. Now, did you not think? I'm sorry, I'm going in another direction with this now. So, did she not think that Apollo would not cheat on her? I mean, you cheated on him while he was married to Phaedra, who's got it going on financially, physically, and still getting plenty of opportunities coming her way. Like, she's getting her bag. And she wasn't no slouch back then either when them two were married, because I do know that she was involved with the funeral home at that point too. Now, I don't know, wasn't that one? It was, I can't remember what the name of the funeral home is. They showed it on the episode. But she got into being a mortician, and aside from being a lawyer, aside from being a reality personality. She got streams of income coming in from everywhere. But anyway, I'm not surprised that Apollo cheated on her. We already saw the video of the one person that he was cheating with, who evidently was tired of him because she posted the video on her, I guess, cam. She had it in the living room. They were hugged up watching TV. So, yeah. The respondent has had intercourse with someone else during our marriage. The following continued. Respondent has committed adultery multiple times throughout our relationship. Respondent refused to seek counseling or therapy to address these issues. Shireen also requested a protective order. Says she expressed a fear for further violence or harassment from Apollo. Now, I agree. I feel like that should be taken out only because Apollo does have a bad temper. Now, whether he's more in control now, I don't know. But do you remember the episode? I want to say, was it called Pillow Talk or the Pajama Party or whatever Nene had? And Apollo went off. Apollo went off on somebody. I know Candy went off on somebody, but I think Apollo went off on somebody too. But anyway, in a previous incident in March 2024, repeat ex-con, oh my gosh, Apollo was arrested and was charged with domestic violence and simple battery assault after alleged altercation with Shireen. So it's even documented. I just thought maybe, I think I remember that now, but it wasn't like right here. So I'm sorry, Shireen, but I remember that now. You did file because he was putting the pause on you. So Apollo, he was married to Phaedra. We already know they share two sons, Aiden and Dylan. So they say he appeared on the season 10 Married to Medicine. So yeah, that's basically it. We don't need to talk about that. We already know what he's been doing, as far as being on Married to Medicine. But they were married for 3 years. For some reason, it seemed like it's been longer than that. How long has Phaedra been off of Housewives? It's gone a good while. She's best known for rejoining the cast in 2024. So she was gone from 2017 to 2024. Is that 10 years? 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. That's 7 years. She was gone for 7 years from the show. And he's only been married to Shireen for 3. So I guess when it took him a minute to get married. Okay. Oops. So it looks like, according to US Weekly, that Simon Guobadia has been detained by ICE amid the mass deportations. Now, we all know that there was some serious mishaps going on with his citizenship. And I think he applied for his citizenship back in 2016, want to give or take. And he was denied. So since then, I mean, clearly wasn't concerned about his citizenship. I guess he didn't try to apply again. I don't know. How do you have to wait a certain amount of time before you apply again? I don't know what the rules are. But he was coming and going through U.S. Customs like it wasn't nothing. He would go to Costa Rica, he would go to Dubai, he would go back home to Nigeria, and still end up back in the States. So he wasn't really concerned about it. But seems like he's been detained now, and I don't know, is detained the same as being arrested? Not arrested. I guess he wasn't arrested. Just let me see, what does this say? This just says he was detained. So I don't know. Tomato, tomato. So clearly, I don't know, do they deport you back to your native land, or are they going to send him to what's that place that they're reopening? Guantanamo, I think it's called. Guantanamo Bay, I think. Because I know that was mentioned that they were reopening that and they were going to put some immigrants there. So, yeah. Doesn't look good for Simon. And Simon came in too hot, first of all. He wants to make things bad for Porsha because he wanted, as soon as they started, ramping up the trailers for season 16, he went at the social media thing. Like he said, if you bloggers gonna come down here, I'm coming down here too. Don't tell me to shut up, blah, 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 blah. Well, ain't nobody got to tell him to shut up because you ain't gonna be able to say nothing. At least not while you being detained. Now, if they send him back to Nigeria and then but the thing of it is, Simon has a little bit of capital. So they might allow him to stay, or if they deport him, they take him back home, he'll go over to Dubai. I mean, I don't think that he's going to, I don't think he's going to mind being deported back to Nigeria because he'll just go fly to Nigeria and set up home somewhere else. But what's going to get under his skin is that Porsha is still in that house that he has to pay for. Because right now, that's what the paperwork says. He's responsible. Now, what he could do, since I'm deported, I can't pay that no more, so it's on Porsha. Now, Porsha could probably stay there and try to manage to pay for it or sell it. Anyway, she wants this one. And she wanted Simon out of it. She was tired of him. She said, so one of y'all got to go with a house of you. I think it's going to be you. So, yeah. So that's what the status is right now. Let me see if I can refresh it. No. He is, there's no updates. But what y'all think about that? Y'all think Porsha called the people on him? And I just want to offer my prayer and thoughts to the Braxton family. Sounds like Towanda may have been in a car accident. Don't know how serious it is, but it's serious enough for her to be hospitalized. So I pray that all works out well for her and make sure that her kids are safe. I wonder if she was by herself. It doesn't indicate that she was by herself or not, but I hope she's okay. Last but not least, I watched Lexi McCullum's video. That's Chris Fletcher's daughter, right, by his first wife. And my take on her story, she was talking about her siblings, is that when she was much younger, she got along with her stepbrother, Lance, and their cousin, Niecy or Lanice or whatever her name is, because they were all close in age. She said her younger siblings, I guess little Chris and was it Kayla? They weren't that close, I guess because of the age difference, but she was closer to her stepbrother and she adored him. They always played together. They always got in trouble together. They just did the whole gamut. And again, this is my take, my personal opinion. I mean, you all, leave your notes down below. if you disagree. But after, I want to say, she became a little older, more aware of how she was being treated, I don't think her treatment ever changed. I believe that Nell probably didn't like the I don't know, blended families are hard, first and foremost, okay? And there's always going to be some underlining jealousy, maybe, or competitiveness. Some underlining jealousy or competitiveness. It's always something there, I feel. This is my opinion. Mind you, she did say that evidently there was some type of I guess respect between her mom and Nell because they got along so well, because their kids got along so well. Lance used to go with her and her mom to do things, go to the movies or whatever. They hung out. It wasn't until I'm putting things together in my mind based on how she's telling the story. It wasn't until she got older, she got a little, I guess, more aware of how she was being treated differently from the others by Nell. Chris seemed like he was just trying to survive because I feel like her father was never really there. Like maybe he is there now because maybe he's done with the whole cheating thing, but he is a old school cheater. And he's probably always had one foot in the street and one foot in the household. So when it came to the kids, he left that on the women, which was Nell and her mom. He wasn't about that. Plus, remember, he left Nell for a short period of time to be with some young girl and her kid or kids. And then when he came back, things might have been a little different. Lexi was older, right? She said it was a period there where she didn't hear from her father, but she realized later that was the period that he had left Nell. And whenever she was going through something, she would tell her father he wouldn't do nothing. But you know why? Because he was probably always in the doghouse. What could he say? He really didn't have no say because he was always out in the street. That's my opinion. I don't have no proof. But I feel like he was barely in the house, let alone her. But she wouldn't have known that. You know what I mean? I feel like Nell has always had to deal with his cheating butt. That's why she felt like she was the best mentor for Melody because of Martell. I feel like he wasn't really a good mentor to Martell since he was hooking him up with and telling him about different females in the community, aka Trish, aka Trish. So I feel like he was always in the street. I feel like he's never been a homebody because it sounds like whenever she was there, Chris was always out when she tells her stories, right? It's like, my dad wasn't home. I called him. I let him know what was going on, blah, 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 blah. But he was at the grocery store. I don't believe he was at no grocery store. That's what he told Nell. I'm going to the grocery store. Like I said, I don't know. I wasn't there. I have no proof of anything, but I feel like her story is her story. And that's her truth. But because of the dynamic and what has gone down in the relationship prior to him leaving, after he came back from leaving, it's always been the same. Chris has never been a father. He doesn't even buck up against Nell. Now, you see how when Martell goes off on Nell and how he says da 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 da, and Chris don't say nothing. She just, remember the whole little back and forth him and Nell did. She was like, you need to stop hollering in my ear. He said, well, you need to move over there. Blah, blah. And you see how he was talking to her? Chris didn't speak up and say nothing. All he did was look at him. He has no respect for Nell, and neither does Martell, because of all the stuff that he's done to Nell. And he's left them kids on her. He left the kids on her. She was there to fend for herself. I mean, Nell has not had that life. That house that she live in now, more power to her. You know, I'm glad that they've been able to come together and still do what they need to do to take care of them. But Chris is an old school pimp, allegedly. In my opinion, honestly, I believe that. And I think Lexi didn't get what she needed from her dad, her biological dad, and because of whatever Nell was going through, she was always angry. And I don't know if she treated her any differently than her kids. She could have, but I think when it came to taking care of the kids, her kids came first. That's my opinion. I could be totally wrong. But just listening to her story, and again, she's talking about how she felt left out, and then I guess also people, they were getting older too. Like Lance was getting older. You know, when kids, you know, when you're more in tune, like to what's going on around you, you hear conversations. You don't know what conversations they overheard, whether they were talking about Lexi or her mom, whatever. And that puts a distance in between families too. Now, if she was responding based on how she was feeling or how she was made to feel, and Nell was back at the house trashing her, talking about, you know, she just ungrateful, she da 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 da. And based on what Nell was saying, it seemed like what she was saying was right. Sometimes that puts a wedge in between. And get it, that we got to remember, Nell was technically Lanice or Niecy or whatever her name is, mom, because they adopted her. And of course, that's Lance's mother. Who are they going to side with? Lexi, who seems like she's jealous of the fact that Nell is doing all these things for her own kids? You know what I'm saying? You don't know what the conversation was. And I'm not saying she didn't feel what she didn't feel. She has the right to feel however she felt. And if that's how she felt when she came around and Nell didn't do right by her, or her biological dad didn't speak up and say anything, clearly that's her. She felt it. But sometimes there's an underlying reason, like you might be reading into what you're feeling on the surface, but underneath that, Miss Nell probably was going through something else. And maybe she took it out on you. Maybe. I don't know. Like I said, I wasn't there. But that's my take. Tell me what you think. It sounds like, you know, when they were younger, they had a beautiful friendship, and, you know, kids do that. Kids don't take on the feelings of grown adults until they reach a certain level of maturity and they can understand what the dynamic is and what's going on, because they overhear conversations. Then children's opinion of other children, stepchildren, whatever, start to shift. Just saying. It happens. So that's that. So please like, share, and subscribe if you haven't already done so. Like this channel. It is a free way to support, and it's appreciated. And with that being said, everyone be blessed. Peace.